Good morning, everybody. Since I haven't called her yet, even though this will get aired in like a week, I'll say Happy Mother's Day, Mom, because she's actually, the one person that I know will listen. We'll probably have a dozen other listeners, Tony. So, I mean,
No
you
worries.
will
Hey,
get
we
the
got your
word out
mom.
a
We're
little
good.
bit.
No worries.
And if you pitch it right, my mom will go buy it. I mean, she read
Hey,
Stillwater.
we'll see. If it's something that she likes, then I'll definitely. I mean, I hope she enjoys it. I'm not. I don't believe in mandatory funds, so it's.
Well, see, that's a really good perspective.
Mhm.
I do believe in mandatory getting artists paid so that they can make more art.
Oh yeah, but
How we
also,
do it, I don't know. That's
no,
the great mystery of the world, isn't it?
I go with it. Hopefully, it's worth people's money. That's
Yeah, I think it's always worth people's money. Your work is always worth people's
you are very kind.
money.
Thank you.
The last time we talked, he brought Alex DeCampi along, and we talked some
Yep.
Brandenburg School for Boys, which wrapped up beautifully.
Thank you. No,
Um,
I love working with her.
well, she's one of the few people that like any conversation I have with her, I feel like the dumb one in the room in like the best possible way.
She is so well read. It is wonderful.
Right,
Just like
right.
it's kind of like a less currently cranky Dennis Miller, where she'll make all these wonderful references. And you're
Hmm.
like, I know that's funny, or I know it's an accurate reference. I don't
Hmm.
get it yet, but I know
Right.
I want to,
But I'm gonna
and
go
it is
find out.
and it is wonderful. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love. Well, it's one of the things I absolutely love her for is
I mean,
she's great at
I've
that.
I've spent a lot of my life as one of the smartest guys in the room, and
Yeah,
I'm going to be the one that says that anybody who's actually the smartest guy in the room doesn't like it. It's not it's not fun most of the time.
it's frustrating and
You
exhausting in some
know.
ways, where it's like you got
Um,
to pause and like restructure everything.
right. So I actually kind of like being, I mean, as a teacher in
Yeah.
particular, I like being on the other side of that sometimes because it's like, oh, so this is what it feels like. That's fantastic.
Hmm.
I get to learn something.
Hmm.
Woo!
Absolutely. It's the Carl
um,
Sagan thing where you're like, wow, this is brilliant and it's genius, but I'm not condescended to. And
right,
it,
right,
he's
right,
structured in a way that allows me to come to the conclusion of my own, so it makes me feel smarter than I am.
right, exactly. Um, and all of that actually rolls nicely into, I mean,
Mhm.
you're one of the artists that my eyes are open for to begin with. But when word dropped of Medusa and I read the basic description where you're essentially taking old mythology and turning it on its head a little bit,
Mhm.
um, with your typically fantastic art, um, I'm like, oh, I need to email Tony. And you were kind enough to email back right away.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
so tell us about Medusa because it looks really cool.
Everything you know about Medusa is a lie. That is the basic premise for the book. The it occurred to me long ago, and I'll get more of the details of how I came to the character, that history is written by the winners. And if
Oh
you have
yeah.
incredibly misogynistic history, any of the female heroes out there will be turned to villains or turned to monsters. And when I looked, I was like, looked at Medusa, and it's I'm not the only person to come up with this. It's people have done brilliant jobs of it before me. And I'm not saying mine is brilliant, but theirs are like, oh, it's wonderful interpretations. But what if everything we know about her is a lie? And it's
Yeah.
just 2,000 years of misogyny, retelling stories, so her from the hero to the villain. So I took that, expounded on it, or expanded on it, and expounded with what if she's been cursed a second time, where she's not just the curse of the Gorgon, where her shape has changed, and anyone who looks at her gets turned to stone. It's what if she was cursed a second time, so she is the two-part curse, where she is only remembered as she's a hero, but she only be remembered as a villain, so that any and by the way, I deal with this in the first 3 pages of the book, so I'm not it's really spoiling anything. What if every heroic
Well, I
action
mean,
she does?
you're the creator, so you're allowed to spoil. It's
I
me
am.
that's not supposed to spoil.
I know, but I hate it. I want to make sure people go in with as fresh a look
Yeah,
as possible,
yeah,
because that's
yeah.
where you get usually the best experience.
I get it.
And so it's anything heroic she's done is wiped away from history, from all the evidence is removed, any digital anything, so no one remembers it. But for the crueler part of it is that if she wants to like saving the people or that were hurt or killed by it, she has to kill that monster that did it. So in cases where, I mean, what if the monster they did on an accident or did it as part of the nature they don't know any better? It can't be like, oh, we'll reason it out and we'll like Doctor Who it, we'll see what the realization is and fix it later. This is for the people to come back. Her curse is she has to kill that thing. So it's very much a tragic hero. And
I'm
this book takes place in the modern day. So she's been doing it for 2 millennia, over two
okay.
millennia.
I'm seriously digging the
Yeah,
concept. I mean, again, I was digging the concept
yeah.
before I knew that
Thank you.
level of detail.
Yeah, and
But
yeah,
I
so much
mean,
of what she is she is a hero, and she chooses to find herself as a hero because it could be easy for anyone to say, you know what, everyone hates me, even though I'm doing everything right. I can't do a thing right, so I'm done. I'm out. But her core being is no, I can help people. I've been damaged. I've been hurt, and I by things that are beyond my control. And I have two choices. I can let that go and let it happen to other people, or I can go and try to help other people. And I'm uniquely in a position where I can still go out and help people. So I choose to.
right. So my autistic educator brain is going to take you back to like the first thing you said here
Uh-huh.
because
Go for it.
that is something that I've been dealing with a lot lately, as I think a lot of us are, is you talked about history being written by the victors
Yep.
and great deeds done by people that don't fit into the power structure get written out or
Hmm.
sanitized
Yep.
or whatever. And this is, I mean, in an era of book bans, in an
Hmm.
era of alternative facts, um, I mean, this is the premise of Lies My Teacher Told Me.
Yep.
This is the premise. If you ever read Wake, the uh, history of women-led slavery
I
revolts.
have not, but and that's really what comes down to, like that, or look through the notes of who actually were some of the major thought process behind discovery of the double helix structure of the genetics, where
Right,
it's like,
right,
oh, it was these two guys. Well, no, they stole her notes, and I'm horrible
right.
because actually
I
feel
don't
bad
remember the
because
name right now either.
I don't remember her name either, but we should, and that's the
Right,
problem. We remember
exactly. Thankfully, I
Crick,
don't
what was it,
remember
Crick?
their names either. So, I
That's
mean,
something in Crick,
at
I think.
least I can blame it on
Yeah,
my memory.
yeah. But but that's exactly what it
It
comes
is. It's a
into.
huge problem.
And so therefore it came with like, you have thousands a year where it's not just that, but it's that she's McCurse and all the again, victory. You can't have, especially throughout history, they tend to wash away any women heroes.
Right. No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a book recommendation earlier than I normally do in the
go for it.
podcast. You should track down a copy of Wake.
Well, I've got a
Rebecca
library.
Hall. Yeah, Rebecca Hall was the author, illustrated by Hugo Martinez. Um, it's part graphic novel, part memoir. So it's telling these stories of women-led slave revolts, but it's also telling the personal story of the historian that like had to dig through the archives and read through the line or between the lines and
Yeah.
whatnot to figure out that they even happened.
Hmm.
Learn how to read, what this meant, what that meant,
The
you
historical
know.
context where they were saying something without having to say it. And it's like,
Right.
technically we were accurate. Well, no, you're twisting things to make it so it fits your agenda versus.
Right. I mean, and Nate Powell just adapted Lies My Teacher Told Me
Yep.
beautifully. And one of the things I read the book ages ago, but one of the things that I'd forgotten is, we all talk about Helen Keller only as she overcame her, disabilities and whatnot.
Yeah.
She went on to become like a socialist, um, feminist
Hmm.
activist
Yeah. She was very very
and
active.
accomplished a lot of great things, but
Mhm.
they don't fit into the neat narrative. So,
Absolutely.
so the book stops at, you
Yeah.
know, everybody knows that Woodrow Wilson helped found the League of Nations.
Mm.
Not many people remember that he resegregated the federal government.
Yep.
Uh, and I mean, even when they're messy, uh, the the full pictures are always more interesting
Mhm.
stories. Um, which I mean, to go full circle, that Medusa, as as I know her, and you
Yeah.
said other people have done stuff with this, so you probably know way more. But Medusa, as I know her, is a very one-dimensional, almost monstrous
Hmm.
creature. But I mean, unless she was actually a snake that just got put together in human form, eh, there aren't many just one-dimensional monsters in the world. There's always another side of the story. There's
Hmm.
always more to it. Sometimes it's redeeming, sometimes not. Um, but it's never simple. So I love it. I love that you're taking this complex or this simple character and adding a level of depth, changing the perspective. Um, because again, that's just where good stories come from.
Yeah. No, and it's even with this one, the whole how it started out was Emerald City Comic Con, the Comic Con out of Seattle, used to have, and hopefully we'll have again, a book called Monsters and Dames, where it's a charity anthology book. It's not an anthology, but a charity pinup book, where you put in a thing where it's like it's got to have a monster and a dame. You're like, okay, I
Okay.
could do that, but you can also mash them up as like the dame being the monster. And so that's why I looked. I was like, this would be fun, and just kind of spun out of back in, I think it was 2018, of what if Medusa was a hero, and kind of did some start playing with that. And ever since I did that and it made it in the book and published, it's always been in the back of my head with this is fun. I actually want to do more with this character. There's so much more that can be done with a hero character who I mean, who it's by choice, and it's also even physically for all y'all that were able to see images of my rendition of her. Is it's not, and there's I'm not doing this as a judgment call of the Laura Croft type female character builds as a negative thing. That is a legitimate athletic build as well.
Right.
But when I looked at this person character who is not super powerful, not super strength, it's a normal, approximately normal person. If they're fighting monsters all the time, the odds are they might build up a bit of muscle. They might need the
You
muscle.
would
So I
hope.
put her as much more muscular yet feminine character,
Yeah.
where she's got much more like
Well,
CrossFit
and
athletes.
well, I mean, one of the things that I notice as you say that I appreciate as well is, she wears pants with
Yeah. Oh,
pockets and
oh yes.
boots and like things that would be useful for.
Ex- exactly. That was exactly my point with that. It wasn't like because you can do like the flowing robes and cleavage exposed and stuff like that, which again, with if you're with the right type of story, it fits perfectly. It's not a judgment call
Right,
against that specifically.
right,
But when I looked at her as a practical hero,
right,
where she was like, if you're a hero, what would you actually be wearing? You'd be wearing combat boots because they're very durable and they've got good traction on them. Hers are
right.
actually steel-toed as well because no one likes things dropping on their
Now,
toes. She's
now
got,
did
go ahead.
go ahead. Well, no, I'll let you
She's got
finish.
tactical boots, pants as well because they're durable, they're ripstop, they've got pockets. She's got the utility belt, which has a fun thing that you can read about when you read the story. But it's got that. The breastplate is an old magical breastplate, which actually I don't want to spoil that part because actually yeah,
Which
we'll
there
go
will
and spoil.
be more that we'll learn later.
Yeah, but everything within it,
We'll talk more
everything.
about that decision when he comes
Yeah.
back after the book is out and we do the spoiler-filled interview.
Yeah, exactly. But there is so much, if so much when I designed that, and it was designed specifically with an active, actual hero in mind. It wasn't like these bright things that design-wise look beautifully.
Right,
But if you look at anyone in cosplay, like that's a beautiful design. You talk to the cosplayer, and they're like, "This is a living hell. I hate
yeah,
moving around this. I'm sweaty. I can't move. If I raise my
right.
hand, I'll gouge my eye out." So
So
therefore, it was that, and you'll notice that the gear and this promotional stuff that I have, it's gear from around the planet.
right.
So she's not just stuck. Oh, she's going to hang around Greece for the past 2,000 years. It's the whole world is open. So therefore, it's like by putting little things like the kopish or kopish, however it's pronounced, as one of her weapons. It's got the samurai sword. It's got a 1850 American revolver across her front.
Right.
With all these things, also gives the hint of like she's accumulated. what she needs to help people out. So it's not just someone who's like still running around Greek armor for the past 3,000 years. Yes, she
Right.
does have that breastplate on there, which we'll talk about afterwards. But
Yeah.
outside of that, everything has purpose. It has need. It has a reason for it to be there, not just because it looks cool. There's nothing that can easily be grabbed or taken away or snatched out or be used as a weapon against her.
Right.
The
No,
classic Brian Bolt and Batman years where Joker grabbed the ears and pulled him down.
right.
So it's something. Yeah.
The tongue-in-cheek joke that I was making as I looked at the boots is it looks like you learned from Jim Lee, because he's commented that he put the treads on Batman's boots because how on earth did nobody ever put treads on Batman's boots? And by
Yep.
like the third issue of drawing Batman's boots with treads, he went, "Oh, that's why nobody put treads on Batman's boots." And
Yeah.
as I look at these three pictures at your website, all of her feet are positioned in such a way that the treads are not visible.
Yes, actually no. They just ended up being that way. So it wasn't even that. My thing with that is that's why you don't see the shoelace. You don't see the shoelaces. You notice all
Right.
of her shoelaces are covered with a strap there, and tactically it makes sense because otherwise people
Right.
could cut the straps. So you lose your shoes.
Absolutely.
But their part was like,
Right.
I really don't feel like drawing shoelaces for all those times.
See, and
Ugh.
I actually love, particularly I mean, the name of the show is 22 Panels. That's a
Yeah.
Wally Wood hack.
Oh yeah.
Professional artists have to figure out ways to do things faster. They have to make decisions on,
Mm.
okay, will this still tell the story and be easier to draw? Then I'm
Yeah.
going to do that because I have a deadline. Um,
Yes, but then I gave her drew a character with nine long animated snakes that come out the back of her head, which
but
is like
but
this is great.
but you
Like,
decided that that was important.
well, it's Medusa, it's imperative, so there is no
Exactly,
cheat for that,
exactly, exactly.
and
So,
it's
so again, it's a mixture autistic. Uh, uh, you know, I like to figure everything out. Like I'm
yeah,
driving in traffic and trying to figure out why is the traffic this way today.
yeah,
Um, and teacher, where
mhm,
it's like I see these little things where it's like, oh, this is so much better because you did that, but it's also you're creating work for yourself. So then how do you decide on a panel by panel basis? Or do you even think
mhm,
about it? You know, ha- I mean, obviously, most of the decision on the angle is going to be storytelling.
yep.
Uh, but how do you decide? Okay, uh, we're gonna have the top of her shoe rather than the bottom of the shoe.
That
I could
that
have
is
this. I could have
that
this two
doesn't
seconds later. I could have this 2 second.
that actually
Does it
doesn't
actually
factor
go
in at
through your
all.
head? Doesn't
It
even go
no
through your
no it
head.
is solely first off is does
Got
this tell the story
right,
and make sure all the elements that are needed in that panel to tell the story that they're all present.
right.
And then from once where there's all storytelling is first, and from that it's all the elements. And then from then goes to composition.
Okay,
Which angle, which positioning of all the elements will tell the best story that not just fits in with the panel, but fits in with the overall page. It's something called meta panel composition,
right.
where it's not just how every panel itself is laid up. It's how all the panels on the page fit together. So it's got the flow that you want. Do you want to speed it up? Do you want to slow it down? Do you want to
Right.
stop it at some parts? Do you want to speed it through at other parts? So for all of those elements, that goes to that. What actually is like, do I want to draw this or not draw this is one of the last things I deal with. And even
Oh,
then
I would
it's,
assume it would
yeah,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, but a lot of people are like, oh, I totally get the other side of like, oh, I really don't want to draw that. So
Right.
sometimes with crowd scenes, you'll do a foreground background shot where you have one or two large elements in the foreground that show that help make more visually interesting by having a foreground background dynamic. But that foreground character also makes sure you don't have to draw 50 people who would be behind it otherwise.
Right. Right.
So it's very much a balance because I get
Yeah.
not one of those people like, and there's a muddled mass with a couple dots on it. That's a crowd. Like, no, I got to draw all that stuff. It's just,
Well, and that's that. I mean, particularly with this book, you have a very the images I'm seeing are
mhm.
very detailed.
Yes.
Uh, and I'm not saying that one can't. I just read the new volume of My Favorite Thing is Monsters, and
Hmm.
God knows Emil never knew a detail that she didn't want to
Yeah.
include. Um, but she also spent a really long time on those books, and
Hmm.
there's that balance between
Absolutely.
uh,
And that was the tough part with me for this one was trying to make sure because it's a single volume 80 page
okay,
collected so it's not like one issue 1 through 4. It's all one complete story within it. So you don't have to
right,
worry about like getting a second one or like, oh no, it ends on a cliffhanger. I hope it does well enough we get a second story from this.
right.
So I want to make sure that yes, I do have it set up so I can tell more stories with it.
Right.
But I want to make sure whoever picked it up, they're able to have a complete the
This can
satisfaction
be
of a
one and
complete
done.
story.
Right.
That
Um,
complete story.
how I think you mentioned it, but
Go for it.
I'm. How long ago did this start? You said it was Emerald City.
Emerald City around 2018 when I first did the Monsters and
So
Dames and
so
for
so it's been kicking around in your head
yeah,
for 6 years. When
yeah.
when did you start working on it in earnest?
Probably around 2020 or
Okay.
2020 or 2021. I'd have to go back and look. Time is a flat
No,
circle and has no meaning to me. I just have
that's
deadlines.
fair. I get that.
But it's something where while I was working on Essentia, I realized, you know what, every once in a while I have a couple of gaps here and like, you know, I'm gonna start playing with ideas for this. And then I did I was doing the like in the nights, evenings, whatever, excuse me, because deadlines always come first.
Right.
And like doing a little eight
At
page
least if
story.
you like food.
Yes, you want to keep your companies happy. Um, but I had so I kind of drew up a little 8 page story,
Okay.
or wrote an 8 page story, hired an editor. Stephanie was absolutely amazing. And she edited the main book as well. She's brilliant. I love
Stephanie.
her. Stephanie Cook. I got to double check that because I'm horrible with names because I would just say it's Stephanie. But she's give me a second. I'll look that up really quick. But did a little 8 page. Uh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
editors.
yeah. Oh no, she is.
We've got an
Yep.
editor coming at
I
the
got.
end of the
Yeah,
week.
yeah. Stephanie Cook, who just had a new book called Pillow Talk that just came out, which definitely check out. She also did a book called Rat Pack or
Okay.
Rack Pack. Both great books. I love her work, so definitely check her out. But she's also a great editor for people looking for an editor. Be lucky to get her. But I
Yeah,
did an eight
no,
page story. Yeah, did an 8 page
and
story. Go ahead.
I can't emphasize to anybody if you're not looking for an editor, you should really be considering looking for an editor. There
Editors
aren't
are,
there
yeah,
aren't a lot of people who can actually do all this. The
yeah,
editor in comics actually has a lot of different roles. It's not just checking your spelling.
yeah.
Um,
Oh
it,
no, I'll
it's
get to,
it's it's often dealing with the stuff you don't want to deal with.
yep. Oh yeah, no, it's on. I'll actually get to that, and as soon as I finish up the like the pitch behind this, because
Right.
I did the 8 page story, and so I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like I know a lot of people at Dark Horse and a lot of work there. I'm like, hey, I know you usually plan stuff years in advance. I would like to do story. This is a story. Is it something that fits in with your production, long-term production goals? Because a lot of companies will have like stuff pitched out for like 5, 6, however many years. And I've had pitches in the past where like it's nice. We've got 3 other things like this in the pipeline, though. Thank you for thinking of us. It's just it won't fit. So this little 8 page story, which I drew, I colored, had Taylor Esposito do a brilliant job of lettering on it, and sent it into them. Like, and their response was, "We love this. We want to do it." What? No, we want it. Here's the. I mean, we've talked to Mike Richardson. We've talked to all the production people. We've talked to the bean counters. Talked to everybody, and we want to do this book. Oh, I was not ready for that response. So I started like, okay. So from then, I like went into earnest, hired Stephanie back as an editor, and my first pitch for the story I went through to here's 80 pages. It's got to be one shot, 80 pages. That way, it's an easier sell for bookstores and actually comic
Right.
shops. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I've got issue 1, but now about what, 2, 3, 4. How do I order these things versus just ordering one single thing? It can actually be a lot easier for everybody.
Mark
So,
Russell actually had a
yeah.
crazy idea the last time he was on that
Hmm.
he's like, if I owned a comic shop, I'd overbuy all issue ones, but not buy anything else except for subscribers. Issue ones and trade paperbacks. And if you want
Yeah.
issue two, you got to tell me.
The pre-order, yeah, that's I can see that. I can see the counterpoint to that, but I can see that as well.
Oh, I can see dozens of
Yeah.
counterpoints to
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but I feel like we're actually reaching a point in the market where that's not as bad of a strategy as I would have said it was 10 years ago.
That is definitely shifting market, which is again
Right.
why we went with this.
Right.
And but I did the first 80-page story in this huge epic story with like 80 characters and stuff. You like wrote back like, no, no, this does not work. You need to rewrite the whole thing. She actually had me rewrite the 8-page story as well. So I hear something like, yeah, it's not working for these reasons. Like, okay, so I went back, rewrote it, redid it, and um went through
See, I
and
love that you just told us that because that's also the reason that people will complain about editors, but most people who get it also will say, and it made it better.
yeah, no, and she was one thing she was great about, and I gave her a lot of bonuses as well because this is the first time I worked. I was basically this is like the easy bake oven of my first production stuff from this side. So I did this is the first thing I've ever written. So there's
Right.
so many things where I was doing all these writing faux pas and not knowing about it.
Right.
Like I do something and she's like, it doesn't work. So I try to like sell her on the idea. Like, but like, no, no, Tony, no, it doesn't work. You're not trying. Don't pitch it to me. I'm telling you, it doesn't work on the store on the page. Write it so it fits on the page, so it makes sense on the page. No, you're not. It's not explaining to me. So I did that all
Right.
the time. I did that a couple times, and I was like, till finally sunk in. Like, oh no, okay. Or always give yourself 3 days before responding about editorial comments. Art comments I can do right away, not a problem. But with the writing stuff, I was like, nope. Let it process it. No, she's absolutely right. Or nope, it's not reading, but it's my reason because I'm not doing it the way it's supposed to fit. So I need to fix this. Not it's not a debate.
Right.
So I went through and did the I was just very very surprised. I was with just the pitch, and this is the first thing I've ever written. And now the
Yeah, that
first
was
thing,
that was one of the places that I was going to steer us because
yeah,
I mean a lot of artists like if I mean you're saying it's the first thing you've ever written, period.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
artists like if you go way back to their indie days did writing and art, but
yeah,
like they could never call themselves a professional writer. I
yeah,
knew that you'd never professionally written anything.
yeah.
I mean, particularly, the scripts that I talked to you before, Alex works so much towards her
Yeah.
artists,
Oh,
figuring out
she's
what you
amazing.
need, doing your visual research for you if
Yeah,
she's got an idea of
yep,
what's going to be needed, while at the same time not expecting you to stick to that if you have a different
yep.
idea. Um, what was it like to have to do that all yourself?
I have so much respect for writers. I mean, I respect them before, but so much more now. Because I realized I'd written one indie thing back in my very first career that never actually got published because the book actually never made it out, never made it to the stores for
Right,
reasons I don't think I can legally get it. Nothing bad, just
right,
legally can't get into. And then I did a 2-page, basically a synopsis of a factual sculptor of the 1908 World's Fair.
okay,
And that was basically me just regurgitating facts. Like these things
right,
happened and put in picture form. But this is the first thing I've ever written.
right,
And it was for one of the biggest comic publishers in North America.
right.
So it was just amazing. But no, Stephanie was great about that. And it was a whole lot of like, nope, this doesn't work. A whole lot of too many words. Nope, cut that down. Stop writing for TV. You're writing for comics. You're not Neil Gaiman. There's not enough room for this stuff there. Cut all this stuff out. This doesn't make. I mean, she didn't use the Neil Gaiman line against at me, but
No, no, I understand.
it was a whole bunch of that. Like, no, I mean, there were times where this wasn't all bad. There were times if I did something right, she's like, yeah, this is great. Well, I love this. This is cute. This is a great element here.
No, it's just
But
as you said that, I think the only writer I can think of or artist that I can think of that when he started writing had the too many words problem, like off the top of my head, was like early Sin City from Frank Miller.
yep.
Was just like, and all other artists is like, no, I know how big a word balloon is.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
mess with my art.
Yeah, no, see, when I wrote it, I didn't write it for me as the artist. I wrote it as a
Okay.
story that needs to be told. So therefore, I was
Okay.
like, if I want to make these story points and these story elements in there, I need to address it in the dialogue.
Okay.
Then I found out later, no, you don't.
No.
You don't. It's
No.
some of my best sequences, I think, in the book are ones where I have like all these like dialogue balloons throughout there, and I looked at it, it's like, no, I don't need any of these. In fact, it's
Right.
works stronger without it. So I try to keep it with
The
dialogue
the
where it is important, dialogue only for points where it's important to progress the story or progress
right.
specific elements.
The
But
beauty
it's,
of comics is that they can show and tell,
yep,
and the great comics know when to do which and
yep,
try not to do both unless there's
yeah,
a like strong reason for emphasis.
yeah.
Um,
And I caught myself a couple times with redundancies where it's like, nope,
right.
I say it here, I show it here, over here. Let's get rid of the saying because we don't need it because it's already there. And
One of the best piece of advice I ever was given for reading comics. It took me a long time to get into EC comics. I loved the art and
yeah,
I couldn't like struggle through them. Um and a guy who's actually my boss, but also a comics guy,
yeah,
said, yeah, don't the read the dialogue, but don't read any of the other words. Just look at the pictures and read the dialogue. If you're confused,
mm,
go look at a text box, but otherwise
mm,
just try to ignore them entirely. And my God, did they become like infinitely better immediately? It was later that I discovered that probably part of the reason for that was they were so cheap with everything except their artists. They paid their artists well, but they were
yeah,
so cheap in terms of other stuff. Feldstein would write the story on the boards before giving them to the
yep,
artist. He didn't type
uh,
them. So those boxes are really artist directions
yep,
and therefore really not necessary for you.
yep. And they'd go through and then like, okay, here, writer, fill the space. That's why
Right.
sometimes the spaces are off because it was
Right.
quite common at the time where you go through and you'd pencil it out, then you send over to the letterer, the letter with the space letterer, put
Right.
the letters in, and then you'd ink everything after
Right.
you've got the letters down.
Right.
And thankfully, I part of me misses that, but the
Yeah.
other part is that it's so awkward and
Oh yeah.
outside production, and there's so many things against it. I'm happy that I don't do it anymore. Even though I do
I
love
mean,
see
just
that.
in terms of I mean, more moving parts than when you can put it all together digitally. Shelley Bond has so many stories about having to
Hmm.
like run places to get pages from this person to that person, pages from that
Hmm.
person to the printer.
Oh yeah, no, thank you, internet. It's all the difference in the world where, because it used to be not just that. I was like, okay, my got these pages in the FedEx envelope by this time because I need to fly down to or drive incredibly fast down to the FedEx to make their final thing at 10 a.m.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, and I've sent the pages. They're loaded in your Dropbox or loaded to your server, and I've got the FTP protocol going up, and 3 minutes later, you've got the whole book versus
Right.
the I need
Right.
corrections. Okay, yeah, okay, there are the corrections, and it is
Well,
wonderful.
and I mean, as much as pen and ink is beautiful, and I love comics that are
Uh-huh.
done as traditionally as possible, you know, the ability to make edits, the ability to
Hmm.
choose the parts that are most time consuming and least satisfying to you and do them in a quicker way, whatever, I think has contributed a lot to the fact that we're in what what Chris Condon and I dubbed the platinum era of comics, um, where there are way too many comics, way too many good comics out there for anybody to actually manage to read
Yep.
all the good ones. You have to choose the genres. You have to choose your artists and writers because
Hmm.
even if you have that perfect pitch where you can go 5 pages in, no, this sucks.
Yep.
There's just too many good ones. Too many good ones.
And actually, one of the things I did with Medusa was the Stephen King rule: have hook your reader by page three,
Okay.
where he's like, yeah, you want to make sure you got your reader hooked by page three, otherwise they're going to put it down.
I mean, you hooked me with the cover, so
Thank you.
I'm pretty certain that you'd have to work pretty hard to push me away in the first 3 pages.
No, I
Um,
that's hopefully I don't,
Okay.
because it's when I did it, it was something I wanted to make sure that again 3 pages in, you've got the character, you've got basic concept of the character, you've got the world it exists in,
Right.
and because I don't want this easily could have been a Kill Bill style revenge story, like oh no, Medusa's been cursed, now she's gonna go have her vengeance and all this,
Right.
but I'm not the writer to tell that story.
Right.
Oh, I can't even said I can't
Well,
believe
and
I just
it's
said I'm the
not as
writer,
interesting of a story.
but it's that's there's so many people have done it already.
Right.
That's
Well,
it can be done and well done, and I'll
just going
address it
back
down
to
the
your
road, but
original premise, though, I mean, if she'd gone on the revenge thing, we would have heard that because the powers that be would have absolutely believed that that played into the
mhm.
monster Medusa. She
Or
can't go on
well, or
that.
the other side of that is, wow, someone stood up to us. We can't show that people stood up to us.
Maybe
So therefore, we
that's
need to
fair.
keep
That's fair.
because think about all the revolutions that are kept secret, or the failed
That's
revolutions that
fair.
are stricken from the storybooks.
That's
Whereas like,
fair.
nope, she's a monster. Well, nope,
But lots of single people we just turn into villains.
yeah,
We're good at that too. Just like we're great at turning villains into heroes,
hmm
which is I think more disturbing. I remember having
it's
to describe, like my son went through his Jesse James period. I'm like, no,
yep,
no, he he was not Robin Hood. I'm not even certain Robin Hood was Robin Hood, but even
yep,
assuming Robin Hood was Robin Hood, Jesse James was not
yeah,
Robin Hood.
yep. That's the spin of, well, we will create a villain for to make the person a hero.
Right.
So therefore, we'll start the basic promise. We want this villain to be a hero. Okay, we need to find someone else for them to compare them as the villain, so they can be the anti-hero. He often killed people, but they were bad people. Why do they say that? I say that. Well, prove it. No, just they were bad people, and he killed bad people, so that makes him good.
You mean that your word isn't isn't like the authority on good and bad?
My word isn't the authority on me. I mean, yeah, I know better than that.
Okay, do you want to be president?
No.
No,
Do I want to help
of
people out?
course not.
Absolutely. I also know that that's a very not just exhausting, but there's a lot of stuff there. It's a Dunning-Kruger thing. And when they say, "Oh yeah, I totally
Yeah.
want to be president," you have no idea what the president does, do you?
Right. Right. Exactly. That is the one major flaw of the American government that I can't come up with any fix for, which is I don't understand why anybody who was actually like worthy and capable of doing the job of president would want it.
We do. It's a do the best you can with the situation you got thing.
Right.
That's and I mean there are people out there that
I
do
mean,
mean well, but there are other
yeah,
people there
no,
that
I think we did manage to have some good ones. I can't
yeah.
I can't wrap my head around, how they decide that like, oh, I'm called to be president now.
Well, that's entire divisions of colleges right there. So
It is. It is. Um, hmm, why? I mean, obviously because you drew the picture at ECC, but was
yeah,
there something that drew you to Medusa before that, or was it just
I
like
don't
totally
remember.
random?
I think it was
Okay.
like just a lot of times like try to find something that stands out, sounds different, and it was like Medusa. What if she was a hero?
Okay.
And
So
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 like
you hadn't been seeped in Medusa lore and Greek
no,
mythology.
not
You just
as much as any fourth grader kind of thing.
okay.
So it was that it wasn't like I was hardcore into all this stuff, and I almost took in many ways a Stephanie Myers on vampires approach at it, where I know very
Okay.
little about it, and I'm going to go through create my concept. And then once my concept's done, go back and look at what the actual legends are like. And that's a great thing about my version of Medusa is I'm not beholden to all those legends.
Right.
It can be, yes, that actually happened, or no, that was part of the curse, or that was just um, some god saying trying to create that as bad, just bad press. Yeah, that
Mhm.
never that never happened. So I don't have to by allowing doing that, I'll freeze myself, so I'm not trying to reverse engineer all these things in there. So a lot of
Okay.
characters that do show up in other from other mythos,
Okay.
they a lot of things that are accurate, things that are not. So I try to stay true to the concept of the character.
Okay.
Where I have a lot of like one word balloon cameos from different characters in there.
Okay.
And I've got other
S-
characters that are not known to the major populace that may play a major part in there,
Okay.
where he's able to put and put my own spin on it because I'm
Okay.
not trying. I don't. It's not my goal to maintain a absolute steel-clad lockdown concept of what the god is. Partially because that doesn't exist.
Right.
There are different versions of basically any mythology out there, depending on
Absolutely.
which version you want. But it also allows me to take like, okay, what's the concept of this, and how do I want to make this fit into my world? That way,
So,
I'm not worried about people.
right.
If you want to read the mythology, you can read the mythology. So,
So when Dark Horse had blown your mind and said, "Yep, let's do it,"
yeah,
did you wind up going down any sort of research rabbit hole?
to a degree, I did the story first.
Okay.
I went
Did
through, read the story, and once I did, I did the first story, which is completely rejected by my editor,
right.
wisely so. And when I did the second one, I did went through did a little bit of research, did the story. Then after I did the story, went through how can I make this story fit in the current
Okay.
mythos.
Okay.
So that would take some tweaking. I did like there are different visuals within the book that I was like, wow, this is something that is very. I was lucky enough to fall into something like that exists in the mythos because this story actually takes place in Scotland.
Right.
So I was able to find some Scotland mythos there and able to pull that, tweak that out, and then other parts where if I need to take place in locations, I would research what do these things look like, what would they be like, or what do you think would look cool?
Right. Well, and
Because
that
this is
that
it's a hype fantasy, so
that kind of leads me to my secondary question there.
mhm.
Um, I would expect you to be doing lots of visual research to figure out how it looked and whatnot, but this was your first go
Yes.
as a writer too. How much did you wind up like trying to read what other people had done or about the history or any did you wind up going,
Did I rabbit hole it?
yeah, what level of info rabbit hole did you
Yeah.
find yourself in?
A lot for visuals, but not. It was more, a lot of the visuals were dependent upon how historically accurate I wanted for different visual elements.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, this is something that was built 2,000 years ago. What would some of the building structures of 2,000 years ago look like, or at least elements of it? So for different parts, I did that, and for visuals. But for the writing part, no, the story came first. It was
Okay.
absolutely making sure the story came first, because otherwise, I'm not strong enough to write, strong enough of a writer to make it work. Otherwise,
Okay.
is the best way to put it. So I'd go through and when I tried, because sometimes Stephanie was great about like, yeah, that doesn't work that way, and there'll be
Right.
times like, no, but it works way for this story, so I'm keeping for the story, and
Right.
other times it'll be like, no, you are absolutely right, thank you for catching that for me,
Right.
and that would shift as well. But there was a
Yeah.
lot of stuff as far as the animated story part. I really tried to limit it as much as possible.
Okay.
And the good thing with the story as it is, since it takes place in the modern day, I don't have to worry about. I've got 2,000 years between 1,000 and 2,000 years, depending on the legend,
Right.
to say, well, stuff happened since then.
Right.
It's that happened at that time, or that was the case at
I
that time.
I'm just impressed by the discipline and reminding myself that it's actually more my weirdness that as soon as
Mm,
I've got an idea in my head, I need
yep.
to know everything about it. I can totally
Yeah.
see like doing the first draft because I want my story to be this,
Yep.
but I feel like before I hit the second draft, I would have read like five or 600,000 words.
Yeah. Oh, and part of it, I totally get that. And part of it as well is it's a timing thing. It's like, do I have the
Yeah.
time to dedicate it? Because
Well,
this is,
again, that's why I
yeah, yeah,
emphasize. I
yeah,
appreciate the discipline, the fact that you were able to
yeah,
go, no, this is what matters.
yeah,
Sure, maybe there's some nugget that I'll glean, but
yeah.
there might be stuff that just throws me off. So the
And
hell with it.
and like I said previously, where it's like it's a Stephanie Meyer vampire and werewolf. Is
Right.
this according to any of the werewolf or vampire lore from before? Nope. Her vampire sparkle. You know what? It works great for her story.
Right.
They're the parts that are yes don't age well, and that's a joke in itself as well. But they're ones that don't work. But the basic concept of nope, I know very little about this. I'm going with what I know, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Don't mind my
And
butt.
even within that. With Medusa, I almost have to ignore parts of it because otherwise, if I try to stay as true as possible to and retcon all the quote unquote monsters things that are a part of her mythos,
Right.
all of a sudden I'm undoing all the some that I mean to do.
Right.
Where a
Right.
lot of I approach a lot of her legends and myths as believing the bad rumors in high school, where all the legends are the bad rumors, where it's like, oh, I heard the
Right.
rumor about this person does this all the time. Well, since you
Right.
said it, it must be true versus going to the source or acknowledging um, that this rumor was created out of malice.
Right.
So I was huge with a lot of those elements right there. I really wanted to make sure that the story came first. And the good thing with the story, excuse me, it is nuances, some small stuff that very few people know about in Scotland history or Scotland mythos. And so therefore it allows me to do that where you can go back and dig at like, oh wow, okay, so this comes back to this concept which I don't want to spoil because it's a major hinge of it.
Yeah, no,
But the
I'm
other
I'm
part
I'm
is
looking forward to that stuff, but don't spoil it.
yeah, the other part is with this is I want people coming in as if they know nothing about any of this stuff. We're like, Medusa, oh,
Which
yeah,
I mean,
the girl with snakes, Ray
let's
Harryhausen.
be honest. 80% of them won't even be able to say that much.
Yeah, you know what? And that's great. I love
They'll
that.
go,
It's
this cover looks cool.
yep,
$10 or $20?
yep,
Sure, I
yeah,
can do that.
complete story, exactly.
Right, right.
And that's why when
Which
it
is
with
why
this
where I'll toss out really quick because the perfect time
mhm,
to say it is it's due out in October.
correct.
When this episode airs, it will be available for pre-order from your local comic shop and pretty much anywhere else where you may get books.
Absolutely. Please support. My job exists, my life exists because of comic shops. So that's
Absolutely.
because speaking, I mean, to tangent off of that, when the book was announced, I was actually really lucky because they actually announced it at Emerald City Comic Con, where the
Right,
image first was shown out a couple of years previously. So I had a wonderful little balance with that, and was able to announce it at the place where basically she was born.
right,
But the only drawback to that is that while you can order it at a local bookstore, so please, if you can buy it through not a comic shop but a bookstore, buy local.
right,
But you can so you can buy it through there, or if your comic shop gets their Dark Horse Comics through Penguin Random House, you can order it that way. But most shops still get their stuff through Diamond, and Diamond isn't
right.
available for pre-orders until May 22nd.
May 22nd,
This is
which,
recorded before May 20,
right.
22nd, by the way.
Well, we wish my mom a happy Mother's Day at the beginning, so I hope they still
Absolutely.
remember that.
Well, I figured just covering
But if you
bases, if nothing else.
if you're listening right now, it's probably May 22nd or later, unless
Yeah.
Tyler messed something up, in which case you downloaded it before I noticed that it had been messed up and took it down to go back up later.
Surprise. But it's something where I've really been holding off on the big push for like, hey, go buy this book until you can
Right.
get until I got the
Until you
diamond
can
codes
actually order it.
or through
Yeah.
comic shops because I love comic shops and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing what I do. So I want to make sure that I put as much money towards them as possible.
Well, let's pivot there
All
and
right.
talk about how you came to do what you do. I don't think I've actually, because we did the joint interview
Mhm.
before,
Yep.
I don't think I got the opportunity to ask one of my favorite questions, which is give me your comic book history. Where did it start as
Ah,
a reader? Where did it turn into creating? What
absolutely.
books molded you? Whatever. Take
Well,
it whichever direction you want.
we'll go chronological linearly then, which might be fun.
Yeah.
I actually, I still remember, and I have it. I'm old enough that my very first comic book was a Jim Lee comic book. It was his first issue of Uncanny X-Men, and I picked it up. I was at a summer music camp in Fairbanks, Alaska. Picked it up off a spinner rack off of not 7-Eleven, but 7-Eleven type store just off campus, and just became
Okay.
enamored with it. I would like copy images from it onto like lined paper, and from then just loved comics and loved drawing. So went through, but at that point, uh, comics could not be a career, so I didn't even think about that. Went off and ended up getting my degrees in criminal justice and psychology. Graduated with honors with a dual major. But
Where?
my final year, I realized this is not my career path goes. So went from there, moved down to well, got my degrees at Northern Arizona University, great school with
Okay.
a lot of fun little backstory there. but went down, moved to Phoenix, moved down to Phoenix, Arizona, and starting taking classes at the local community college. Lucked into an amazing instructor by the name of Jim Garrison, who sadly doesn't teach anymore, but he would kick your ass when he held the breakfast, but it was never malicious. It was all about learning, and he was wonderful about it.
Okay.
And from then, I totally leveled up on that, and still couldn't get any comic work. Just was not good enough. I was better
Right.
than I was, but still just wasn't good enough. And so I started doing role-playing game art,
Okay.
the tabletop RPG, not the behind closed door kind of stuff.
No, no,
People
no.
ask the
I
clarification.
I was pretty certain that was what you meant, but
Yeah, but I've had people like, oh, you mean like, no, no, not that kind, the rolling dice kind. And
oh,
so I
yeah.
would, so I did that,
I
and
mean, it's
it's,
a more common crossover
yeah,
with comics,
absolutely.
except sometimes late night at cons with the cosplayers, and yeah, we
Yeah,
won't go
it's
there.
as long as they're adults and they're making good
All
choices.
consensual. Yep,
Yep,
yep, yep, yep.
exactly. And I had so I started doing that, and I was doing that full time. And I did a lot of small like I was a bouncer for a while, worked in a warehouse, worked wait as a
You look
waiter
like you
and
could be
food
a
service.
bouncer.
Yeah, I hated that job.
I didn't say it was a job that I could, and I think it would be less so if I could see the blue ponytail right now. But right now I see the big guy in the Radiohead
Yeah, yeah,
t-shirt with no
yeah,
hair, and
yeah,
you look like you could stand in front of a bar and say, "You in, you go stand
yeah.
over
No,
there."
I was the one to wander the floors, make sure things get too crazy, and
Okay.
I've done door as well, and that's even worse because I hate having to check IDs. But
I don't blame you.
it's incredibly dull yet stressful job because you're 6 hours, 8 hours of annoying drunk people. You're waiting for something you don't want to happen. It's going from zero to 100
I
and a split second, and watch out
I
for,
I've done a career's worth of jobs that people sit back and go, I ran dementia units and now I work special ed. And people
yeah.
sit back and go, I couldn't do that. The job I couldn't do, I couldn't be a bouncer. I don't think I could work at a bar, period, but I certainly couldn't be the person whose job it was to take the belligerent drunk and tell them that they were done.
Thankfully for me, I was the person who always talk them down. So
Okay.
wasn't that it was just boring. It was the
Yeah,
tediousness of
that
it. It was
but
so
that's
monotonous.
part of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and
Not
that's
even
what drove me.
not even talking about like the possible violent side. I'm just
Yeah,
having conversations with drunk people like
yeah. Well,
sucks.
actually,
They
no,
think they're
it does.
funny. They sometimes think that they're intelligent. They
Yeah,
very rarely are.
yeah. No, polite yet firm, treated with respect, and it's. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Oh, no, I'm not. No, please come with me.
Okay.
And just no interaction, just action.
Right.
But so I did a bunch of point being did a bunch of jobs, and then I did like if you pick up a D&D book, it's got a little quarter page picture of, oh look, there's a dwarf fighting a gnoll or whatever it is.
Right.
And so I'm the person who drew those. By the end
Okay.
of that, my career with that, I did like 150 different. I was in 150 books and magazines,
Okay.
and had done 132 collectible card game cards. Did a whole bunch of
Okay.
Warhammer stuff.
Okay.
And it was that Warhammer stuff that actually got my first comic work through Boom Studios.
Okay.
Because I went into San Diego, and like, wow, walking by the booths, I even heard of Boom Studios, and there's like, oh, we're doing Warhammer comics. I walk up and like, hey, can I speak to an editor? Sure. Hi. Yes. I'm a Warhammer artist. What? Yeah, I've done like all these splat books. I've done 132 cards. I've done all these things. Um, I would love to do some Warhammer comics. Like, oh, okay. Well, basically, I was as close to being hired on the spot as you can get.
Okay.
And so from there, I did a bunch of like fill in pages and fill in parts when like other artists dropped the ball or couldn't make the deadline. And then from there, I got my first full-on miniseries, Blood and Thunder, which were Tau versus not Imperial Guard, but like the Imperial, like the people outside of armor, the troopers.
Which
And
I have listeners I know that will mean something to, and it hasn't
absolutely,
to me yet.
no, no, it's
I've
everyone's
been
got the
getting into the role playing world, but I'm still very much on the periphery.
yeah, everyone's got their thing. And with
I'd like it to
Warhammer,
be my thing, but it's not yet.
it's finding what works best for you.
Right.
But they had Games Workshop is notorious for being very specific with their IP. It's their
Okay.
sandbox. I respect it's not a dig. But they were so specific by the end of the 4 issue miniseries, I could tell you specifically how many bolts were on a Hellhound tank.
Oh
And I don't
wow.
mean that I counted them up. It was like I can go through pods like one, two, three, four. I could count them all, the location of every single one in my head because they're that specific on how they need their IP to be, their intellectual property to be. And that's it's not again not a dig. It's
Right.
because their fans are that specific. They'll write in like,
Oh,
"Hey,
absolutely.
I noticed that the purity seal on this Grand Inquisitor was located in the wrong location." And so therefore,
I mean, I'm dear friends with Christopher Cantwell, who
yeah.
is currently writing a Star Trek book,
Oh
and
wow.
while it's like his dream job, it's also,
They
you know, thank
they're up
God
there as
he's
well.
one of those fans
Yeah.
because
They're very
otherwise,
notorious for that as well. It's a lot of fun, but they're very because for the exact same reason. If you're off on
right?
like, here's what
Oh,
it pulls out a phaser. That's the wrong kind of phaser. That's the phaser
right.
for the Kelvin
Uh,
era, and well, this is actually original series, and
well, and that's actually I think one of the I had Jackson, Colin, and Chris all on just as the whole thing was starting up, and I think one of the reasons that Jackson asked to work in this era when he was being asked to do it was he's like nobody's ever done anything in this era here.
yeah. Oh, absolutely,
So it's kind of a blank slate.
absolutely. And then so I did that and had some luck with that. And then the editor came back with, "Hey, we got another book coming up for you. Would you like to do it?" Can't say much about it, but can you draw these 3 pages? It's like, okay, I'll give it a whirl. I draw the 3 pages, and this it's not Warhammer, it's something else. It's near future. So I draw the 3 pages and send them back like, okay, this is nice, but the owner of the IP wants you to change this, this, and this. Okay, so I change it, send it back in. Okay, this is nice, but can you change these things? Okay, I'll do that. Good job, great. Now, can you actually do these pants and stripes on them? Oh, okay, so after 5 rounds of that, I'm getting really frustrated, but it's a job, with potential for a job. And so I go through sending like, all right, you've been approved. All right, great. Send me the script. All right, here's pages 4 through 22. What? The first 3 pages, the trial pages were the first 3 pages of the book. That book was a book called Do Andrews Dream of Electric Sheep. Do Andrews Dream of Electric
Oh,
Sheep is the book that is the
okay,
movie
Dick. Blade Runner.
um,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
Blade Runner is loosely based off of. That is also the series that I was nominated for an Eisner for. So if you go back and see those first 3 pages, like those are my tryout pages. And ended up doing 24 issues in 23 months. And I was doing pencils and inks, like 22 pages of pencils and inks in 28-day turnarounds, or 26-day, depending upon
Whew.
to keep the schedule. And then when we got halfway through the series, we were nominated for the Eisner for Best New Series. Like, oh wow,
Yeah,
this is insane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing ink washes for everything as well to try to hype up the book so when it comes out. And then the problem is Boom ran into some kind of production issue, so those books couldn't come out until after the voting for the Eisners was closed. So I couldn't like, oh wow, kind of hype that up,
right,
which life happens. It's um, not that I mean, you do what you can with what you got.
right.
I don't think it made a difference because and losing to Chew, which is a great book. It's not a bitter thing.
I
Chew
mean,
is a great book. Rob and John are friends of mine. They're both
yeah,
great people, and I'm happy they won. In fact, I even videoed the them winning the award and sent them copies of their speeches.
right.
But they're great people, love them to death.
No,
But it
no.
was,
I
and then
the more people I get to know well in comics, the less I want to look at award nominees because invariably any given category has like 3 people that I not only think their work is worthy of winning, but like I feel close enough to them that I want them to win,
yeah,
and I can still go, but you're gonna lose to that.
yeah. But the thing is, it's not athletics where you're like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
hype up. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna
right,
knock his block off. It's
right.
all of my work is done. There's nothing else I can do about this. It's out of my hands. You can self promote if you want, but
Well,
it's out of your,
and awards for art is so hard to begin with. I mean, how
yeah.
do you compare Android's Dream of Electric Sheep to Chew?
Oh, they're different, and that's for one of those things where it was an honor to be nominated kind of thing. But
Right.
it's also, you know what? if you win, great. If you don't, it's something you have no control. You can only put your best stuff out there. You have no control over it.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes it's whatever is the best known book.
Right.
Because I remember that year for one of the other categories, it was Scott, not Scott McCloud, but Roger Landridge with the Muppet book, but it was
Okay.
also the was it the boy has to feed the seven X's of the girl he
Oh, the
likes.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim, yeah. So it was he was going up against that.
Brian Lee O'Malley. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
a hard one to go up against.
At the same time that the movie's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they this is will always drive me crazy, and it was I see why they did it, but they shouldn't have done it this way. That year, that award that they were both up to was announced by the cast of Scott Pilgrim. So it was like, oh no. So and I was actually at
As
the
soon as they walk
table.
on stage, you know.
Yeah. So I was there at the table because it was at the boom table with Roger Landridge at the table. Like, oh my God, this is what the hell. So I get why they did it, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they got a lot of pushback. Hopefully, and I don't think they've done anything like that since.
Right.
But it was like, oh, this hurts. This really hurts. And I mean, it sucks losing. Don't get me wrong. I remember walking out thinking like, well, I guess, well, why'd you lose? Like, well, I guess I think I made something about like Bill. Like I should have written done as good as Philip K. Dick or
Right.
something like that. But it was one of those things like after that, like I just went back to my hotel room. Like, I'm good. I'm not gonna go hang out
Right.
because it does hurt. I mean, you put your out. You always hope, but it hurts losing. But in retrospect, you realize, Jew is a great book.
Yeah.
I'm happy it won. It deserved to win.
Right.
Rob's art is better than mine. John did an amazing job writing it. It deserved to win that best Eisner. It's not they're like, oh, I should have won it. It's like, no, they deserve to win it, and I'm very happy they
Right.
did.
Right.
Now, would I win one down the road? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the other part is, I'm going up against
Yeah.
Stan Sakai and Neil Gaiman. I'm not going to win it because they are better than I am. Not to say I'm even going to be nominated. It's just one of those things that,
Well, and again, I mean, my 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 three great passions, other than just like a desire to know everything, are baseball, comics, and music.
yeah.
And like baseball is of the three, the one that you can like quantify the awards
Hmm.
the most. But half the time when the person who quote unquote should win, like the baseball player that got me into baseball was Andre Dawson, who came to
Yeah.
Chicago in 1987 and started hitting home runs when I was 7 years old, and
Yeah.
it was just beautiful, and I
Yeah.
fell in love.
Yeah.
Um, from a statistical standpoint, he's probably the worst MVP pick of my lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hit 49 home runs and he had 137 RBIs, but he batted 289 with like a 312 on base percentage.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that he didn't do well. But then you remember that collusion was going on. Nobody was signing each other's free agents. He had bad knees. He wanted out of Montreal. He showed up in Arizona at spring training with a blank contract
Yep.
and said, fill in the dollar amount, whatever, 1 year,
Yeah.
pay me whatever.
Yep.
So he made $500,000, a $2.5 million pay cut from the year before,
Yep.
and went out and hit 49 home runs, knocked in 137 on a last place team. And when you look at it that way,
Yeah.
suddenly that's a pretty good MVP argument. I just can't put it in strictly numbers form.
How many
At,
no
at,
hitters have been lost because the blew a call?
I mean, one perfect game, quite famously.
Yep.
A stat my wife came across recently that I even stumped Rob Nyer with. And are you a baseball geek? You
I am
seem
not.
to know, because it's like
I've got big ears. That's about it.
I'd bring you in on our baseball podcasts.
I, I
We do one
appreciate
a
now.
year.
It's I'm not a big I'm not a big sports person, so
No,
it's
I'm not a sports person either. Baseball is my exception. Um, but just because it'll stick in my head otherwise. The
yeah.
random piece of trivia that my wife sent me one day, that even sitting with Rob Nyer and Bill James at a baseball game, and they didn't know it. Um, there are less perfect games that were lost after 26 outs. In other words, they got the, 8 and 2/3 innings, no hits,
Yeah.
no walks,
Yep.
and lost at that point than there are perfect games.
Yep.
That's more rare than the actual perfect game, the
Wow.
losing it with 1 out to go. So Armando Galarraga and the perfect game that he lost with the blown umpire call
Yep.
actually put him in a more rarefied group than the people who've thrown perfect games.
Yeah, but then the problem is it's rarefied versus a place
I
you want to
know.
be.
Yeah, I
Like
get it.
it's much rare. Yeah, it's the Susan Lucci
Right.
of thing. Like, wow, she's like lost 17 daytime entities in a row or
Right.
something. Like, yeah, that's happened.
How
Like
long did it take Meryl Streep?
yeah, like I remember like there used to be a comic shop in Arizona because I used to live in Arizona. That the comic shop there was called Atomic Comics, and they were
Okay.
nominated for the best
I've
Eisner
heard
Pro
of it.
shop all the time, like on a regular
Right.
basis, and they never won.
Oh,
And they don't exist anymore.
right.
That's a podcast in itself. But I love that shop. But it was something where they just um, always made it there, but never quite were able to, for whatever reason, convince the judges because the
Okay.
shop Eisner is different from the regular Eisner.
All
The
right.
regular Eisner is something that's voted on by professionals.
Right.
So very often, the more, uh, as I said, more often if you're a well-known book, you're much more likely to get it just because people have read it. It's not like the
Right.
Oscars where they send out screener copies,
Right. Well, I mean, sometimes they do.
not for comics.
I mean, I've known some Eisner judges. There
Ugh.
there are
Oh no,
there
for the
are
judges,
right.
no, for the judges you have to. For
Yeah,
the for
there
judges,
are they get so many books
yeah.
that
Well, they have, and that's the thing, they have to because that's to be nominated for an Eisner, you have to submit a book to be nominated. It's not
right,
like they go out there and like they get wide angle, they see everything. So you have to send out. They have to go through everything. Like, is this good, bad, and hopefully you catch them on a good day because you also have
right,
to, for it to be nominated. All judges have to agree. It can't be
right,
like, oh, we'll do a waitlist voting unless they've changed it. It's
right,
solely a okay. Do we all agree that this is to be nominated? And you have one person that hates it,
right,
it won't make the cut.
right.
But no, it's like sending out. But if you're a member of the Academy for the Oscars, they send out screener copies of all the nominated
Yep,
films, and
yep.
they don't do that
Well,
for the Eisners.
they actually sent out more than that.
Yeah.
I had a high school English teacher that was um, the nephew of Julie Harris, the
Okay.
actress.
Yeah.
Um, so he had lots of her screener copies. So when he was done with them, they sometimes became my screener copies, and many of them are things that never came near
Yeah.
nominations. They sent them out to the Academy in the hopes of
Yes.
the nomination. Sometimes they
Absolutely.
send them out to the Academy with like the nice watch. I mean, they put together
Yeah.
whole packages of,
Absolutely.
here's your copy of a trauma film with a Rolex.
Yes. Very much so. But it's still
Because you know that Toxic Man is definitely
up for an award this
best
time.
picture
And this time we
material.
mean it. Yeah, absolutely. No, but that's the thing. That's the tough part with the Eisners is so many of them are like, you've got to be very passionate about it to be able to go to vote for it,
Right,
or know about it, because otherwise there's no. The odds are it's not in your library yet, so you've got
right,
comic shops in libraries, so you've got to go out and pick up those books.
right. Well, that's why why there's almost always at least one librarian and one comic shop owner on any given years,
Absolutely.
you know, um, because they've just got the access and can justify doing all the reading as work related.
Yes. But that's also the tough part. Is just there, and people say, well, some people still don't realize if you want to be nominated for an Eisner, you've got to submit your book for it.
Right.
A lot of the awards, like it's not that general. Like, oh, we know everything we see that comes out. We're not all knowing, because I'm also on the Inkwell Awards. I'm one of the
Okay.
Inkwell judges,
Okay.
and there's some people that will submit, but a lot of times the people that I put forward as part of the nominating committee are people that haven't submitted. But it's hard for me to convince all these creators. I need you to submit. Please submit stuff so that I can, so the other judges know you exist.
Right.
and that can be incredibly difficult on its own
Do
thing
you
as well.
know?
Because
Do you know if it's always been like that for the Eisners? Because that would be a really cool wrinkle in one of my favorite comic stories already. Which is that Kyle Baker's Letitia Lerner, Superman's babysitter,
yeah,
won an Eisner even though it hadn't been published.
I
Um,
do not know. That's something
yeah,
I know nothing about. So
it was like early '90s, so it would have been just when you
yeah.
were starting to read. I actually asked Paul Levitz about it. Um, and he just smiled and was like, if I'd known it was going to be nominated for an Eisner, I would have killed it. I blew that one.
Yep. No, I know nothing about that. So I think
Yeah,
this is,
yeah.
it sounds vaguely familiar, but this may actually be the first I've heard of it. So
Yeah, it has since been published. You can
yeah,
find it in some like DC Elseworlds or
yeah,
stories types. It's like an 8-page story that Kyle Baker did. That have you ever seen Incredibles?
yeah,
Imagine the Jack babysitter
yep,
short.
yeah.
This is I would be willing to bet that if you sat down with Brad Bird, he would list this as a
I- Influence.
influence on
Oh, absolutely.
um,
Yeah,
so
no, it's with that. Yeah, not no. I know enough to know when I don't know anything to say that I don't know. I know nothing
yeah,
about
I
it.
love that. I love
Yeah,
that. I think out loud if you haven't figured
yeah.
that out already.
No, no, totally cool.
Um,
But
so
no,
where we
it's
were at was Android's Dream of Electric Sheep
yep,
and near Eisner and where do we
yep.
go from there?
Went from there, went on, did a few other things, and been lucky enough since then. I've been doing a lot of stuff with Dark Horse. So I did like
Okay.
their Mass Effect books, God of War books. Started off with a Western there actually, and from then I've been lucky enough to work through both recessions, both the 2007 and the 2020.
Right.
So in 2020, I went from working on 3 books down to 2.
Okay.
So I was,
I mean,
in fact, right now is the first time since, yeah, 2017, I think, that I'm actually looking for work, which is
well,
incredibly rare.
you heard it here first. Tony Parker is available to draw your new book.
Yep.
He has a substantial page rate. Don't think he's going to do it on spec. Unless your name is Neil Gaiman, Brian K. Vaughan, or some other name that means that just having half credit on it will mean that he gets to do the work that he feels like doing. Um,
Yeah. No, my rates are very on par for where they need to be
within
within the
the
industry.
industry.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm
No, I
very very
didn't figure
reasonable.
you were. I just
Yeah. No, I get it. I
that's
appreciate it.
as much for our listeners sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Particularly as a high school teacher and like knowing how kids look at so many things, I like to remind them that um most of the artists that they love aren't getting rich off of it,
No.
you know.
And it's the other thing to remember though is it is entertainment, and a lot of
Right,
people within the industry as well prefer to see this as a trade, like a plumber or
right,
electrician like that. Where it's like it's not. So people can't say like, um, I should have this rate, this wage, and I should have steady work. Like, no, we are entertainers.
right.
It'd be nice if it was like plumber, where like, oh yeah, so call up and yeah, I can do a 5-page story for you. It'll be this much on next Tuesday, and drop it off at the house. It is
Well, I
solely, I
mean,
mean,
when we reach the point where we're using comics for as many things as we should be, there will be a little bit more of that. But I
there
haven't
will,
convinced the world that we need comic textbooks yet. I strongly believe that that would be the better way to do most
yeah,
textbooks. Um, I think every magazine, every newspaper that cut back on the number of comics, whether funny or informational, like uh, massively dropped a ball in terms of what people actually appreciate
yeah.
about a newspaper or a magazine, which is the ability to get hopefully in-depth information quickly, which is done much better when you merge words and pictures than
Yeah,
one
I
or
think
the
a lot of
other.
it's just paper and space efficiency because
Yeah.
that's a lot of the military manuals were that. Like Bill Eisner through the
Yep.
at his studio,
Hmm.
and I've actually got that collected book, one of the book
P.S.
collections of it.
Yeah,
would
I do
do
too.
that. So there are times where it does work great, but other times where it's like we'll have so much space, so much of a budget.
Yeah,
You know, it's like okay, we'll throw the words down. It'll work effectively enough with a couple diagrams, and it's
right,
very much a balancing act to fit whatever is necessary for it.
right. Um, so tell me about just because and is it over? Because it looks like there hasn't been an issue since February. Tell me about Essentia, because
Essentia,
you were literally doing this the last time I
yeah,
talked to you, and I
yeah.
like managed not to know about it until this morning, and I'm sorry for that.
Don't
Um,
No
so tell
worries.
me about it now,
Essentia is
because at
yeah,
least the covers look cool.
thank you. No, I've been very lucky enough to be have a lot of amazing covers grace it. It is actually the brainchild of John Dolmayan, the drummer for System of a Down.
Okay.
He's a huge comic person. In fact,
Yeah,
before
doesn't he have a shop in Las Vegas?
he's got a bunch of shops. He's got like a chain of them, like Vegas
Okay.
and California, Torpedo Comics.
I have a friend who went to the one in Vegas and always raves about it and
Yeah,
like
I've
the
heard great
various
things.
stuff.
Yeah, so he's
Apparently they
got
got
that.
a bunch of original art
Oh
and
yeah, he loves his
yeah.
original art. No, apparently he was going to start up a comic shop before he answered an ad in the paper of like, local band looking for a drummer, kind of thing. So he went through,
Okay.
and that
Okay.
worked incredibly well for him. And this is something he always wanted to tell stories. So he approached me at Emerald City one year. I think around 2017, 2018. It's like, hey, I'd like you to work for me. Like, okay, we'll talk later. And we talked later, and he wrote a book about just a dystopian future, not like the Fallout, but where extreme class disparity,
Okay.
where you have the city of Essentia, where everyone basically can live forever, and they've got everything that they want. Their ultimate like planned or gated community, and then you have outside of that Bethany, where everyone else lives, and they're the ones that kind of eke out a living, and if they can, they will work up and work as the support staff if they're lucky for Essentia. And so Essentia was a story about it's kind of like Twin Peaks where it starts up with a murder, but it's there to tell about the story.
Okay.
And so the same thing where this started off with a story about a murder, and since it's the city is so controlled and contained, no one the cops there don't know how to deal with this murder. I mean, there are other murders, but this goes outside their skill set, so they go to a place outside where people have these gritty, ugly, messy murders. So they call in a detective from Bethany to investigate Essentia. So it's basically Essentia through his eyes and all the craziness that ensues with that.
Okay.
And that was the first 12 issues was that. And there's obviously there's a lot more there. I don't want to gloss over anything, but I don't want to like give away any spoilers
No,
either.
absolutely. Absolutely. I
And
just
then
again,
yeah,
I'm always shocked when something recent that looks cool
yeah,
has managed to completely fly below my radar.
yeah,
And
yeah.
saddened when it's somebody that I've actually talked about because that means I dropped the ball on my
No,
research rabbit hole.
no worries. And well, because John did this, he wanted total control over it. So therefore
Okay.
he founded his own publishing company.
Okay.
So it's published through Wake Entertainment, which is something that he made himself. So it's not like oh, so and it's tough for any small press to get stuff out there, especially when you're doing one book at a time.
Right.
So it's
And
not a
right
blank
now
thing.
it
It's
looks like it's mostly available through Torpedo Comics.
exactly. So
Um,
you can order it through your local comic shop as well. It is available
okay.
through Diamond, but it's not available through Amazon.
Yeah, no, that I know.
So therefore, it's something where if you want to go
Which
get it,
only bothers me because I can't find it digitally anywhere. And as much as I love
yeah,
physical, I
yeah,
read more digitally because
yep. Oh, I get it. He was motioning to his bookcases behind him. So
yes, it happens enough on the show that I figure most of our
yeah,
listeners know that.
but definitely that said, definitely it's something that is something I have no control over. But so the first
No, I
12 issues
understand.
for that, and the second arc that I was working on up to issue 21, I think, or 20. No, it was issue 20,
Right.
where it was actually a flashback of the establishment of Essentia, where it goes back and with with the creation of semi-sentient robots and people trying to go to Ascension because apparently they've got great technology there where well, the protagonist has develops a medical condition. I don't want to spoil anything. He's like, no, I can go there to try to heal myself.
Okay.
And there's a lot more. There's obviously a lot more to that. I don't want to spoil anything because
Absolutely.
I did most of the arc with that.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
doing that arc, and I'm having to find a quitting point where I can like step away to quit that to go on to Medusa.
Gotcha.
But it was
Gotcha.
something where I actually pleasantly surprised I got support from John on it, who is a super chill guy. We don't agree on everything, but that's part of life.
That's how the world
But
works.
but it's something where, yeah, I had a lot of creative freedom there. It was a lot of fun to work on. But it's
Okay.
something I at some point I step back and realize, nope,
My own thing
I've
to
got to
do.
do this book.
Right. Right. Um, it looks like issue 21 did Blonde take over all duties rather than just color.
That I don't know because
That's what it looks.
it
That's
was
what it
it's
looks like.
yeah, yeah, no, it wasn't
But
a
I can't
yeah,
guarantee it.
yeah, well, it was a work for hire, so it wasn't something where I had like a creative control over it or something
I
like that.
just
So
know that you've been colored enough by Blonde. I didn't know
oh yeah,
if you guys had enough of a relationship to be able to know. Oh yeah, he
no, I've
just
been
took
very
over.
lucky to work with him for so long. He's definitely covered more stuff than anything else in mine. And he's always great to
Yeah.
work with. So
Right. Right.
very lucky with that.
Um, so yeah, we've
So yeah,
got
that's
Medusa
and
coming up.
yeah, yep, and
People should go hit Panel Syndicate and read
yeah,
Mayday and Brandenburg School for Boys.
yep. Oh,
Mayday
and
I know is available as a trade paperback. Brandenburg isn't yet, is it?
not any
Probably.
not well, it used to be through Image, but
Okay.
then thing with Image is if it only Image is more of a clearinghouse.
Yeah.
So that's why you have books that weren't through Image but not anymore because if it costs more for them to store than it does to sell it, they're going to
I
discontinue the book.
I had a friend recently who got word much later than they would have liked that yeah, you can buy your inventory, but you've got X amount of time to do so, otherwise we're
Yes.
pulping it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's not a malice thing. That's their business
No, it's
model.
not. And they didn't take it as
Yeah.
malice,
Yeah.
but they would have liked a little bit more time to figure out if they could come up with the funds.
Absolutely. It happens to everybody. A lot of it is just Image has only so
Right.
much staff and it's
Oh,
a logistics
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, no, no,
But
no.
and that's actually one of the reasons I went with Dark. I mean, I love Image. I love the staff there. They're amazing people. But that's one of the reasons I went with Dark Horse for this is I don't have to worry about that happening.
Right.
So it's
I
something.
mean, what I've heard about Image, um, I mean, really, people who listen to the podcast, the two sides of it are listening to Alex DeCampi talk about Image and listening to Tom King talk about Image, and they both have the greatest respect for Image. But Alex likes figuring out and taking care of everything herself,
Yep,
and Tom
absolutely.
is like, I have to do what? No,
Yeah,
please give me a publisher that takes care of all
yeah,
of that.
absolutely.
I'm okay losing some money. You can take
Yeah,
I don't want to think about
it's
page
yeah,
weight, and I don't want to think about
mhm,
storing, and I don't want to think about how
absolutely,
many copies to print.
absolutely. No, well, and that's it's their business models, and that's the tough part
Right.
where I don't want at any point it sounds like any kind of malice, but that was
No.
a huge thing where if like 10 years down the road, odds are they'll still have copies of Medusa there. So therefore,
Right.
if I want to buy it or reorder it or sell it, people want to get it, it's still
Right.
available in print that way.
Right. No,
Yeah.
and that's the only point I was trying to make is that Image is a great model, Dark Horse
Yeah.
is a great model, Boom is a great model,
Yeah.
Mad Cave seems to be a great model.
Yeah.
A couple of the other ones that I would have listed as great models. At the beginning of the summer, we've heard about them not paying people, and
Yep.
I won't call any model that involves not paying people a great model.
Oh, absolutely. And there are always things that we don't happening that we don't know about. So
Right,
I won't say that the companies having issues because
right,
there's so much more that's going on that I don't know, and I'm not going to talk like I've got a position of knowledge when I do not. I know as much as
right.
everyone else, if
Well,
not less.
and that's the. I mean, I only brought up Mad Cave because after having a couple of companies that we loved and still love, but
Hmm.
um discover that, oh, this series hasn't been finished because they never paid the artist for what's out there,
Yeah.
or this, that, or the other thing. It's like, ugh. I hate hearing that because they also do a lot of good work, and I know that other people have had good experiences with them, etc. Um, you know, Mad Cave has done so much crazy, like they seem to be upping their game so much that I had to talk to anybody I knew at C2E2
Yeah.
about their experience because I didn't want to be plugging the hell out of them only to
Yeah.
and I heard two words that I'd never heard in comics before. Direct deposit.
Oh yeah. No, actually, most people work that way now.
Well, most of the world does, but
Yeah.
I never heard that in
Yeah.
comics.
Oh no,
I
I'm actually
actually had
surprised.
an artist tell me that he will often pull long sessions Tuesday and Wednesday because if he gets pages in by Wednesday at midnight, they will be reflected on his Thursday direct deposit. And
Nice.
I'm like, that's hopefully
Yeah.
they stick to that. And everybody I've talked to there has had that kind of philosophy. So we have our fingers crossed for them.
Yeah.
Um, but before that, Image and Dark Horse and Boom were kind of the Dark Horse and Boom are going to take a little bit more of your rights, but it's still mostly creator owned. Some of the Image creator owned will
Yeah.
argue, well, it's not really creator owned because they get this percentage of that and whatnot. But a lot of the people who work through Dark Horse and Boom go, yeah, but I'm giving that so that I don't have to do this,
Yeah.
and
No,
this that
it's
I don't want to do.
absolutely, and that's one of the big things with rights is which rights are you giving up or is
Right,
contract signing away? Like my
right.
contract, I can't really get into details with my Dark Horse contract,
Obviously.
but they have the print rights for that story. I have rights
Right,
to everything else.
right,
So any merchandising, any other media, anything else like that, that's solely my domain, which
right,
is a huge thing. So a lot of companies will try to gobble those up. Like, okay, we'll do this, but just we maintain rights for like any kind of secondary market stuff or any kind of like other media stuff. We
right,
want those rights as well.
right. And Dark Horse seems like one of the companies that I think has multiple different contracts because they do have arms where they'll do various
Yeah.
merchandise or whatnot.
Yep.
But
They
I think
do.
it's like a menu. It's like, hey, we can help you with merch if you want that.
Yeah. No, it's very much that where it's their
And
separate
or
contract.
we don't actually think that there's a merch thing here, so you go ahead and keep the merch rights and you do
No, it's
what you
everyone is different. And for mine, it was
right,
solely we're just doing this. If you want
right,
to sign up for one of these things, then you'll have a totally separate contract with that
right,
person there. So it's
right.
not a like here's a general contract. Do you want to like pick or choose? It's every division is separated. There, it's kind of like
Okay,
what Todd. It's like what Todd McFarlane does with his different studios. Like
okay,
his toy
that
company
makes a lot of
is
sense.
maybe on the same general umbrella concept, like they're Todd McFarlane Productions, but his toy company is completely a separate business entity from his comic company, is completely
Okay,
separate business entity from his multimedia. They're all
okay,
completely separate entities, so that way, if any problems, it's only with those.
that makes sense. I like that. I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
that's kind of they're all like they're all specifically compartmentalized. That where you also don't have to worry about within the office, like the different editors, production designers, or production people having to discuss each other who gets what or how things work. It's everything is segmented off as far as I understand, and I like that. So that
Yeah.
if I
No,
same,
I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but that
yeah.
certainly strikes me as the model that's going to be most creator friendly.
Well, it's also business friendly as well. That's what happened
Right.
with Todd McFarlane. I mean, this isn't a secret. Like back in the '90s, when the comic side of Todd McFarlane Productions hit a huge problem, they had I think they had to declare bankruptcy, or
Right.
they had issues with payment. But that's why everything else survived, is because everything was their own separate entities.
Right.
So the other ones were
Right.
able to keep the comic side along until the comic side was able to come back up, and
Right.
everything I said could be completely wrong. So like someone from TMP says,
We're
yeah, he doesn't
we're
know what he's talking about.
we're
I don't.
right. We're not business people. We're comics geeks
Yep.
who have probably above average intelligence, seeing as you went off and got your criminology degree and then decided to become an artist, which I just love.
That could actually be a case against what my intelligence, but yes.
Well, I mean, you didn't get an MBA.
No, but I will say I just my degree is considered a pre-law degree, and did a lot of legal classes with that, so I'm pretty good at reading contracts.
Exactly.
That said,
That's the
I
thing.
do have lawyers that I have that go through all my contracts to make sure that what I think is there is actually there, so I know what I'm getting.
Yeah. See, most people I know I mean, most lawyers I know, like if it's not their corner of law, will
Hmm.
go, yeah, I think this, and I'm going to go get a lawyer
Yep,
who
someone
actually
who specializes
specializes in this. Right.
in that field. And there are times when I look at stuff like I know what I'm giving away. I know I acknowledge what the things are, and
Right.
it's the other tough part is when you look back at old contracts, you're like, oh, if I'd only signed this or I had this in the contract, and it's like now I know for future
Right.
contracts.
You learn.
It's like
Well,
one of the big,
sometimes it's just going to be different at different points in your life too, I
yep.
mean, just going back to the baseball obsession, and though it falls into music obsession too, a lot of early contracts just aren't overall that favorable, except that you were a guy with nothing who is no longer a guy with nothing.
Mhm. It's very much a balancing act.
You know?
And that was one
So,
thing. Yeah, I was surprised when I got the with Dark Horse. It still amazes me because it's not a picture book; it is a story. And for them to
yeah,
say yes, we will publish put our name on your book, your
right,
first thing you've ever written,
right.
is huge. That's
Yeah,
and so I've tremendous respect and pressure on that because I want to deliver not just for me but for them as well to validify that trust in me.
absolutely. Absolutely. Before I hit my favorite last question,
Yep.
because we're pushing up on like an hour and a half, and
Yep.
I don't want to take all of your Mother's Day.
No
You might
worries.
have a mom to call, or a wife and kids. I don't know the answers to these questions.
No worries.
Um, Anything else that you want to plug?
Yeah,
Anything that
actually, one of the things I wanted to mention, I'm surprised I wasn't able to work it in yet, was the team. Fully respect the team that for Medusa. I did mention Stephanie Cook, and she is amazing.
Mhm.
Definitely pick
That's
up
right.
her books. Oh My Gods, Paranorthern, a Rack Pack, and Pillow Talk which just came out. But she is absolutely amazing, and uh, saints look at her for her patience with me. It's like they got little idols of her talking to me for their inspiration for patience. So
Okay.
she was amazing. I am cranky that I was able to talk more about Tamara Bondelaine, who's doing the colors for the book. She
Which,
is
if I only have the one color image right now, but
yeah,
um,
she is amazing, and
it's impressive.
I'm
Yeah,
so incredibly. She is
and I like her work
a
all over the
yeah
place.
A-list top tier colorist. I was so lucky to have her in there, and she was amazing to work with. So I absolutely so thankful that I was able to get her on the book. And
Did you know her before, or was this a Dark Horse hookup?
no,
How did
this
that come about?
actually. Well, one, I'd vaguely known her before because there was another project I was working on which we were shopping around colorist for, and was able to get her as an option, try out a page for the colorist. And it didn't, I love her work, but sometimes it's all finding what meshes well.
Absolutely.
And so while it was beautiful, it didn't mesh with who the people who were writing the book, what they would like. So I knew it wouldn't work, but since I saw work, I always wanted to work with her, and she was the only person I asked.
Okay.
She wasn't swinging for the fences, like, and she said yes, and it was just absolutely. I literally teared up and cried in some of the pages that she colored because
That's
she did such an amazing job with it.
Well, then once we've all read it, we'll have to try to have you come back together, because I always like to hear creators talk about,
We'll see. I know she's
yeah,
not a huge podcast person,
there
so
is that aspect.
but I'm not saying no. I'm just
No, no,
prefacing
no,
as
no,
like
no, no, no. I totally get it.
yeah.
I totally get it.
But so she is absolutely amazing, and definitely books that she does pick up as well because she is wonderful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And then Taylor Esposito did the letters for it, and
Definitely
again,
one of the pros in the business. And
yep, absolutely. When I saw like I had very specific requests for fonts, he's like, "Can you, or request concepts for fonts?" He came back, "Will these work?" I'm like, I teared up, like, "You nailed it. This is exactly what I need." And
I love it.
there are a few things like, and with all this stuff, hey, both of them were like, "Hey, can you change this or do this?" And every time they were like, "Yep, not a problem. Here you go," or "I can, but it should be this way for these reasons." And I'm like, "You're absolutely correct." Because that's the one of the other things about this book that a lot of people don't know, which is unusual from other stuff. I am funding everything for this.
Okay.
So this isn't a lot of times with creator owned, like the company like, oh, I mean, I'm getting an advance for the book, but usually they'll pay for like the company's like, yeah, well, we'll split the advance among the teams for like you get this, you get this, you get this. This is all
So you're
uh,
having to
fund everything.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but but the other thing with that is I made sure I paid them full effective. There wasn't like, hey, can you give me a discount? It's like, what are your rates?
Right.
Okay, then I'll pay that.
Good.
And but so I did with all of them, all three of them, and no regrets whatsoever. I'm lucky to get them for the price I got them. And Taylor
Well,
was great with
that's the
colors
sort of thing that
letters as well.
I love to hear just in general. We talked to what am I drawing a blank on her name right? We talked to an editor doing a Kickstarter recently,
Yeah,
whose name will come to me soon, possibly when we're done recording. But
usually how it works, like an hour
right,
later.
one of the things she made clear, even though it was a um charity Kickstarter, Michelle Abinader, um,
Okay.
they they paid page rate to the
Yeah.
artists first.
Yep.
That was built at, because yes, we're raising money for charity, and that is incredibly important to us. But it's also important to us that these people's time is, she didn't ask for discounted page rate.
Yeah.
They had a fair
And
page rate for everything.
stuff like that
Um,
are balances because I've done
right.
free work for different charities, like Where We Live, and there's another one I did as well, which is totally eluding me, where it was like just 2 pages. It's like, but yeah,
Yeah,
this is a
didn't you do Trina Robbins last?
yes.
Yeah.
I was
Very
incredibly
proud.
lucky to be part of that. It was an honor for me to be on a panel with her. I actually got to hang out with her behind at a green room at a show once, and she was
I'm officially
just amazing.
jealous. I'm
Yeah, just
officially
like it was
jealous.
me and her like over like what are the snacks we're talking for 15 minutes, and just
Yeah.
she was just absolutely amazing. When I found out she was doing the pro-choice book, I'm like, yes,
Right.
please
Right.
let me in.
Right.
So I was
But
lucky enough
I
to.
mean, my overall point is it should be the artist's choice.
Yeah,
You should when you're working from an artistic standpoint, I think uh, you shouldn't be reaching out for people to necessarily work for free as much as you don't turn them down if they say, "Hey,
yeah,
no, I want what I would
yeah,
have been paid to go to the charity."
yeah,
Um, I mean, and that's one of those places that I will be the first to tell you that I don't have the absolute opinion. Somebody could completely disagree with
yeah,
me on that, and I wouldn't. I'm certain that there are arguments, but that's the way I look at it. Is that there's so
yeah,
few artists that are they you guys all live normal lives.
yep. Oh
You
yeah,
have the same issues paying for rent and food
yep.
and college and kids and whatever that we
Hmm.
have. Um, which again, I mean, I touched on it earlier. It's something that I try to emphasize to my students, particularly because I work at a privileged school.
Yeah.
A lot of my kids don't actually understand what it's like to not get things.
Yes.
Um,
Where it's like
so
not to have like fallback positions or fallback financial support
I'm
easily available.
sad. Can we go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
He says the Tuesday before the Super Bowl, and they do.
Yep. No, I've known people like that, and the same people that are just the nicest kindness as well that
Oh
fully
yeah, no,
acknowledge it.
no.
It's about all types.
Yeah, no. I mean, the, even the ones that have the least understanding, most of them are still really nice kids,
Yeah.
and lots of the parents are really nice kids. I mean, it's hard to understand. I mean, this is why a diversity of art and stories and whatnot is so important. It's hard to understand things that you don't live.
Hmm. Absolutely.
It's
You
hard to
can,
understand things that you don't live. So, my favorite question to ask,
shoot.
um, tell me a comic that you love that you wish more people had read so that you could talk to them about it.
The easy one is Planetary
Okay.
because it's a
I've
great book.
I've read Planetary many times. I have it in single issues.
But
I have
there's
it in
actually I got
trades.
yep. Yeah, I've got I've got the omnibus
Uh,
editions. I've got the single
I'm not
issues.
ready to talk about it again
Mhm.
because I'm still dealing with my sadness
Yeah, apparently they've
about
actually
the
brought
creator.
Planetary back in the DCU.
Yeah,
So
have
I've
they?
yeah, one of my friends pointed out like, hey, it looks like they're bringing back Planetary through some of the DC main universe, but I forget the book
Okay.
that it was.
I knew
But
that
I was
they rolled the authority back in, but I didn't
yep,
realize the planetary.
no,
Okay.
I thought it was Planetary. I could be wrong with
I believe
no,
you.
they
No, no,
yeah,
no.
no, Planetary they
I
did, or
I
Authority they did,
am
yeah,
I am so far from the pulse of Marvel DC.
yeah.
I absolutely defer to
Yeah, no,
you.
even then, I'm like, I've been so focused on my book and everything else.
Right,
But actually, the
right.
book I was going to say that not necessarily people should, so we can talk about. There's a great book called Habibi by Craig Thompson.
Oh, so good.
I
So
mean, I
good.
cried in the first 3 pages, but
Yeah.
it's such an amazing. It's a book that needs to be read because it hurts.
Uh-huh.
Where it's like, it's a book that helps build empathy, where it's
Yeah.
like that, where
Well, and I mean, it's a book that I mean, I read his introduction and I've read him talking about it. It was researched and written to build his own empathy.
yeah.
He came from
Oh
from
wow.
a place where, I mean, he I don't know if you've read Blankets.
No.
He came from a very conservative, rural Christian upbringing.
Okay.
So part of researching Habibi was challenging, and don't I'm not Craig Thompson, though you should read Blankets. You should read
Yeah.
his spiritual follow-up to Blankets is a thing called Ginseng Roots through
Okay.
Uncivilized that it put out in 12 issues, but I think they're going to collect it too, where it was more stories, but also, and this is crazy, and I didn't know it, like half of the ginseng in the world
Uh-huh.
it is cultivated in like north central Wisconsin.
Okay. That
Like
doesn't
like a
surprise me.
lot of the
If that,
best ginseng in the world. Like the China like comes to Wisconsin to get
yeah.
ginseng.
Well, it's one. It's like, well, it doesn't surprise me because of the concept of where would this plant grow best, and that has the best facility for that. Nothing about it. I mean, should that be true? Then nothing about that shocks me.
So the ginseng roots is in part like his story growing up working in ginseng fields to pay for comics.
Oh wow.
I mean, he's gets all sorts of remind. Have you ever read Durf Durf's Trashed?
No.
Durf does mostly nonfiction comics. My
Yeah.
friend Dahmer, Kent State.
Okay. Yeah.
Trash is like it's like halfway in between because he fictionalized his time as a garbage man,
Hmm.
but like gives you a much better picture and empathy for particularly the small town garbage men where it's like they're garbage men one day and like groundskeepers the next day
Yeah.
and whatever. um but he also managed to tell this really impressive like ecology story, about
Yeah.
trash and where it goes and issues with it and whatnot. So he put the two together in something that read really well, and in some ways, without the fiction, because Craig's telling his actual story. Um, that's what Ginseng Roots becomes. Is it's like
Hmm.
it's this memoir that's also tells you everything you didn't know that you wanted to know about ginseng.
Oh.
It reminds when I read it just because I like Craig Thompson, but
Yeah.
it remind there used to be a podcast called Surprisingly Awesome, where they took really mundane things and explained how cool they were.
Oh wow.
They did an episode on concrete and like all of its apparently it's a
Nuance.
really good insulator. We should be building more with concrete because it would cut down on energy costs. It
Huh.
would. They did an episode on broccoli, which apparently tastes different to different people.
Huh.
Like, and broccoli and cauliflower are the same plant,
Yep.
along with like three other things that we
Oh,
eat.
absolutely. Yeah. No, that I knew. Where it's like it was genetically bred to or
Right,
cultivated. Yeah.
right. Um, my favorite, and like I had lived this and not realized it, is they did an episode on Chumbawamba and tub thumping,
Hmm.
because tub thumping, I mean, first of all, Chumbawamba is like an anarchist punk collective, and they made tub thumping. It was the one time they decided to deliberately make, we're going to try to go pop. We're going to try to have this go viral so that we can go around and spread our message of unions and whatnot. And
Yeah.
literally, when they were on tour, every time they did a radio interview, they would find the local labor issue and they would go out of their way to make the interview about the
Oh,
local
wow.
labor issue in rural Ohio or wherever. They wouldn't talk about their song or the tour.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
Everybody thinks that the I get knocked down, I get up again is just about like partying too hard and falling
Yeah.
over and whatnot. And there's an element of that, but it's really about they grew up in coal towns in England
Hmm.
and they got knocked down and they
Yeah.
got up again.
It's the metaphorical concept.
And it's like, so yeah, I'm in love with things that like you look at it, it's like ginseng. Why would I want to read 12 issues of a comic about ginseng? And it's like, oh wow, ginseng's got a really cool history and it's
Yeah.
really hard to plant and you got to do all
Yeah.
sorts of. So, Tony, thank you so much for your
Mm.
time. Habibi's a great read. I can't wait to read Medusa, whether it's after Medusa comes out or whenever the next thing gets announced. I'm certain that we will ask you back because it's always fun
Absolutely.
to talk. Um, and everybody should order Medusa today, since when this goes up, you'll be able to.
Thank you.
So for Tony Parker, this has been 22 panels, and we will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.